Today we are going entry level, guys. How entry level? Well, you won't believe how much this costs in China. We're talking same price as 7 basic iPhone 17 Pros. Now that's enough to make a grown man want to cry, especially when I tell you the price here in Singapore. So I guess the question is, 7 iPhones or one of these? One of these is the GAC Aion UT. It's fully electric and I'm sure you can see it's a compact hatchback, which is still a relatively rare combo in Singapore. Size-wise, it's just under 4.3 meters long and 1.85 meters wide, so in terms of footprint, it's just about as big as a Volkswagen Golf. But being an EV, its wheelbase is a stretchy 2.75 meters long. That is long, guys. It's 13 centimeters longer than a Golf's wheelbase. And this is a taller car as well. So that tells you one thing, this car is all about interior space. So let me start by showing you the inside. Should we do the front or the back? Let's do the front. Oh, before I climb inside, guys, I should tell you there are 2 versions of the UT in Singapore. There is the standard and then there's the premium. Good thing there's no UT icon or Inspire trim, or we'll be calling the UTI. But anyway, you can tell this is the premium because it has PVC upholstery. Oh, correction, it has ventilated PVC upholstered front seats. Okay, first impression when I climb aboard. It actually does feel very nice and airy inside here. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, you know that height I talked about, I do have quite a lot of headroom on top of me, and of course I'm sure you've noticed this big glass sunroof which lets light pour into the cabin so you don't feel like you're sitting inside a box. And also, you know, it's got a very typical EV layout, so everything is kind of pared down, minimalist and simple with a big touchscreen in the middle. Let me just adjust this over here to my liking. Oh, okay. It only goes up and down, not in and out, so I know it looks like I'm fighting with the car, but yeah, okay, fine. And that's exactly where I want it to be. And let's have a look at this touchscreen. It's 14.7 inches. And I don't want to go too deep into it here, but my early impressions are that, well, it seems like it is pretty responsive. There are some that are quite laggy, especially when you get to cheaper cars, but this one looks okay, and the display is nice and sharp, nice and bright. Let me choose something a bit more prosperous here, fish. No, okay, let's cancel that and restore it to the default. In terms of what it comes with connectivity-wise, let me see, I do believe that this has Android Auto as well as Apple CarPlay. So I've paired my phone to this and it's wireless, so that's a win considering you don't get that in something like a Tesla. And you know, when you jump into a new electric car, you're gonna be confused as to where everything is. So that's where quick menus like this come in, and you can edit this so that your favorite features are pretty much at your fingertips. And I think that after you live with a car like this for a while, everything starts to fall into place, just like when you have a new mobile phone. In front of me is an 8.8-inch driver display. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, I know, but again, at least you have one, and 8.8 inches is more than what you get in Tesla, which is 0 inches. In terms of the rest of the cabin, well, there is quite a lot of storage space. I've got a nice little compartment here. It's not so big, but at least you can keep stuff hidden away. Let's just put my phone over there. And while I do that, well, typical EV, you've got a lot of space between the front seats, so I guess a handbag could go there. I do have a wireless charging pad over here, and that reminds me that this car does come with a companion app for your mobile phone as well, so you can use your phone to check on your state of charge, you can switch on the aircon remotely, all that good stuff. A couple of cup holders and fairly deep kind of storage over here. I can take half my arm inside, so not too bad. Let's do the fingernails of quality test and see what we get. Okay, this is quite a hard scratchy plastic over here. Steering wheel feels nice, but the doors, yeah, these materials do look quite nice and soft, but they are actually quite hard, so you do get the illusion of sort of premium quality, but yeah, they're actually quite hard plastics. Okay, well, this area here isn't too bad. And I think that no one is ever expecting a luxury car at these prices, and you really aren't going to feel like you're inside one. But overall, I have to say, I can see this car appealing to younger people. I do like the two-tone color scheme, for example. I do like this 2-spoke steering wheel as well. So yes, this is a car that I think the younger me would have liked. You can apparently fold the front seats back to form a makeshift bed, but honestly, that's kind of a dodgy feature to tell people about. Anyway, you don't get a fully flat bed. You have this little hump over here, which is going to cause all sorts of problems if you have a 50-year-old spine like me. I think this is another one of those features aimed at young people, and knowing my younger self, that just makes it extra dodgy. Okay, back here guys, you definitely have way more space than you find in something like a Volkswagen Golf. And remember, this car is wider as well, so you have room for 3 adults and the quintessential European hatchback. But really, the star of the show here is the legroom, because look at how much I have. This is my driving position, and I've got loads of space to the seat in front of me. One thing about EVs is that the battery is underneath the floor, and sometimes you get this sort of knee-up feeling. And a good way to compensate for that is when you have a long wheelbase, a lot of legroom, so that you don't really get that sort of knees around your ears feeling. Okay, quality-wise, I think it's the same as the front, where I've got some fairly hard plastics around me. Yeah, you can hear that, right? But at least this armrest is nice and soft. Super important, I have aircon vents back here, and they're not stupid digital ones, so I can point them exactly where I want. Only one USB charging port here, it's the USB-A one, so I guess maybe, you know, this car isn't designed to power up people for long journeys. But while I'm back here, if I want a little bit more of a sense of space, I can actually recline this a little bit, just a little bit, but I think the whole idea is that I can actually move it upright so I can squeeze more stuff into the boot when I need to. This doesn't move backwards and forwards, and I think this here is pretty rudimentary, but I at least get a couple of drinks holders over here. And oh, I've noticed that the glass doesn't actually reach all the way above my head. This roof is 7.3 square feet, and I guess it's bigger than the usual glass sunroof, but not big enough to be considered panoramic. And that's either a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you see these things. I think it's good because you don't feel, again, like you're sitting inside a box. And again, having this on top of me instead of glass, well, I do feel like I'm missing out a little bit. If you don't like the sun, you can of course close this because you have a sunshade. Let me show you how. Hello baby. Close the sunshade. Okay, that was a little bit cringe, hello baby, but honestly, who among us hasn't wished for that kind of convenience in our life? Hello baby, bring me a beer. But otherwise, you know what? I think that whenever you drive friends and family around for the first time, the first impression they're going to get of your car is very often, or more often than not, going to be from the back. And if that's the case, I think they're actually going to be quite impressed. This car is not big on the outside, but it is big on the inside. Okay, so let's see if some of that cabin space came from the boot. But I don't think so, because on paper, 440 liters is what you get back here. And that's actually really big for a car of this class. Okay, what I'm seeing is that you've got a nice flat loading surface over here. Yep, and I'm guessing a lot of the 440 liters is actually under the main floor. So you can do this, and your choice is between a little bit more space this way or a floor that's flat and lets you load in stuff easier. If you need more space, you can of course fold these seats down, and you can do it over here. If you do both, you get up to 1,600 liters, and that's quite a lot. But you know what? I am looking around for stuff like nets or hooks for your cargo. There's no luggage cover either. So these are all sort of little things that the Chinese seem to miss out. That's probably something we can learn from the European car makers. But overall, I'm quite impressed with how much space you get back here. And you know, people realize that EVs are efficient, but they are also space efficient. I mean, the batteries are under the floor, there's no fuel tank under the rear seats, there's no muffler down here, and then motors actually pretty compact as well. Speaking of the motor, it lives up here and it powers the front wheels. Sorry, no frunk. Both versions of the UT have 100 kilowatts, i.e. 136 horsepower, which is firmly in category A. But the standard has 145 Newton meters of torque, while the premium has 210 Newton meters. And that translates to a difference in performance that you can definitely feel. 0 to 100 takes 12 seconds in the standard and 10 seconds in the premium. But honestly, if you ask me, the more important difference comes down to battery size and range. Now, in the standard, you get a 44.12 kilowatt-hour battery with a range of 335 kilometers. In the premium, you get 60 kilowatt-hours and 410 kilometers range. So if you can, I would highly recommend you skip the standard and stretch to the premium, because 335 km is just not competitive. And you definitely don't want to charge your battery only when it gets down to 0, right? So if you're stuck with the standard, I think you're going to go maximum 4 or 5 days between having to stop somewhere and look for charging. Okay, AC charging is pretty slow in this car at 6.6 kilowatts, but maybe it doesn't really matter because the batteries are not huge. You do get fast DC charging though, and in the standard and premium, respectively, it's 70 or 80 kilowatts. And in either of those cases, you're going to go from 30 to 80% in 24 minutes. Oh, and take note, the charging port is actually in the front of the car, so you might have to park it in from time to time. I think it's one of those cost-saving features actually. You get less cabling, and then the packaging of components is a little bit simpler. And at this level of the market, well, every dollar counts, or every renminbi counts. Before we go on, if you're finding this remotely insightful or useful, please consider subscribing. That would really help us out. And if you have any questions about this or any new car in Singapore, feel free to drop me a line at the WhatsApp number below. My team and I will do our best to help you out. And now let's take a moment to appreciate the designer's work, because this is actually quite a cute looking car. I mean, look at how little front bonnet you have over here. You can definitely tell that this is an electric vehicle from how clean everything is. These headlights were apparently inspired by an owl, and these are eyebrows. So it's looking pretty stern over here, but this is not an aggressive looking car. It's actually quite cute. Now, these are called a graphic, and in car design, a graphic is something that it kind of gives the car its identity, like BMW's double kidney grille is a graphic, for example. And over here you have these kind of 4 LEDs. And I thought that was a fog light, but it isn't. Let me show you what they actually do. And you're going to see these on the back of the car as well. But if you ask me, this car is definitely more visually interesting on the side. There are some versions with two-tone paint, so you get this in white, and then you get this sort of little porthole here in white as well. I quite like this car in this sort of cream beige color, so I think I'll keep it. And this is a nice little touch. Normally you just get, well, plain black plastic over here. Now, the brochure says that this car was inspired by design in Milan. GAC actually does have a Milan design center. I looked it up on Google Maps, and it's there. Hey, I'm sure you've noticed these 4 LEDs as well. And overall, look, hatchbacks like these are meant to be cheerful. They're meant to make you smile when you see them, and maybe make you forget that you didn't actually have money for a bigger car. Now, speaking of money, okay, it is December 2025 as I film this. This car has not been approved for sale in Singapore yet, so there are no prices. But as a ballpark, I'm hearing it's going to cost anywhere from $140,000-ish up to $170,000, of course, and that's between the standard and the premium. I should point out that this is one size bigger than the Dongfeng box, a car I haven't driven, just to be clear. So I guess the question is, should you be considering this over something like a BYD 802? Well, before I answer that, let me ask you real quick, can you remember the name of this car? And if you do, then great, you've been paying attention. But if not, well, then I think it's because GAC Aion UT doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. And that brings me to a point. When you buy a car, you're really paying for a couple of things. Number one, you're paying for all the R&D. You're paying for all this glass, metal, and plastic, but you're also paying for brand equity. And I think GAC Aion isn't really at a place yet where it can charge a premium for its cars. And that means that in order to succeed, this car can't just be cheerful, it has to be cheap as well. But judging from what I've seen today, at least in China, you get a whole lot more here than you do with 7 iPhones. Just take note, the charging port is in the front of the car, so you might have to find yourself having to park it in sometimes. Let me do that again. Leather, oh correction, ventilated PVC leather seats. Ouch!